Welcome. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are watching African Hour. My name is Fru Nde Nkimbe. I am coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. African Hour has been on the air since 2000, and we bring our guests from all over the world to talk about their own issue. African Hour does not control what our guests say. Today's guest is unique in the 20-year history of African Hour. I have women of valor, mother, grandmothers, and role model from our mother continent, Africa, coming all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, to share their experiences, their journey, which I think is going to mirror those of African women and also inspire the African woman, daughter, the mother, and our grandmother. So it's my distinguished pleasure and humility to welcome Ms. Corette Letlojani, all the way coming from Johannesburg, South Africa. Ms. Letlojani, you are welcome. She is the executive director of the Human Rights Institute, Horitsa, based in Johannesburg, South Africa. She served as the chairperson of the Forum on Pan-African Parliament. Ms. Letlojani, you are welcome on Africa Hour. Could you say something about yourself, please?
Yes, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening across the world, time zones. My name is Colette Letlojani, and I do work for the Human Rights Institute of South Africa here in South Africa. And we are involved in human rights forums like the Angel Forum, participation of civil society in session of the African Commission. We are the member of the study group on freedom of association and assembly, supporting the special rapporteur on human rights defender, who is also the chairperson of the African Commission. We have observer status with the African Commission, where we strengthening the African systems of human rights. And at national level, we are working at grassroots level to promote the rights of the vulnerable groups like your refugees, migrants, persons with disability, albinism, sexual orientation, gender identity, the faith-based, and the elderly, the youth, and various groups that we ensure that justice and equality, dignity is enshrined in international and national laws, is realized for them. I thank you very much for this opportunity to be on this platform. This is my first time to collaborate at this level. Thank you very much for having me.
You are very welcome on African Hour, sister. Next, I'd like to introduce my next guest, who is Ms. Miriam Sohatse. Ms. Miriam was born and bred in Soweto, in Johannesburg, South Africa. She is a loving mother, human rights activist. She went on exile during the South African liberation struggle against apartheid at a very early age. She worked and served at various levels in the South African government. She is passionate about women's development issue. Ms. Sohatse, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Miriam Sohatse, and I'm from South Africa. And as indicated, I'm a child of this continent. I'm a child of the world. The principles of Ubuntu, which basically human dignity, solidarity, and collective responsibility for the common good. They cut across all of us as Africans, but also as a people throughout the world. I am later going to talk about my journey, shape the kind of journey that I took, like many other South Africans during the struggle for our liberation. I was forced into exile at a very young age. Many South Africans, the warmth of the other people in the continent and in the world, I experienced solidarity in a true sense of the word. And the people shape what I am today, and not just in terms of giving us shelter, but also the tools that have helped me to be part of the reconstruction and development of my country. I was educated by the people of the world. I was sheltered by the people of the world. So international solidarity to me is a very, very important thing. And like I said, I'm also passionate about issues of women's development. I left my country at a very tender age as a young woman. And it is the women that I found wherever I was, whether I was in Tanzania, in our camps, or anywhere, wherever I was, there were women before me who shaped me, who supported me to be who I am today. So I'm very, very happy to share the platform with yourself, Colette, and the rest of the people throughout the world that are participating in this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those passionate words from these women, mothers, grandmothers, role models, and sisters. As an African growing up in schools in Cameroon, they did not teach us African history. They taught us European history because when you know where your ancestors, how your ancestors live, and your history, the bravery, the Ubuntu spirit that kept everyone alive, you will be a threat to the establishment. I think we will dwell more on that. I really commend you ladies, mothers. You are women of valor. I think a little bit your journey through the various countries and around the world, maybe we really need to hear that, because as you mentioned that you are a child of the world, and it is befitting for you to pay tribute to all who helped you across your journey and make you who you are, and that you don't forget, because the youths of today have a very short memory. So please, each and every one of you, could you share that aspect of your activism in your journey to free and liberate our people?
Thank you, Fru. And I wish to thank my sister for also sharing her story. And what a small world it is. We come from the same background. I'm from Mulapo, Colette. I'm from Lapo. My place is separated by a street. I don't know whether you remember the shops around Neridibiza. So it's funny that we come from the same location, basically. You know, what she also said about her father. My father was also a self-made person. Like I said, our parents were ordinary people that did extraordinary things to inspire us, but also to stay alive and inspire those around them. I mean, I always say to people, my father was an inspiration. He was an African man who was not ashamed to cook for us. He was not ashamed to get into the kitchen and cook for his own children. People who sell through the inspiration he got from his mother, my grandmother. My grandmother taught him how to sew things. So he used to buy leather and sew bells and hats and bags. And at one stage, but I was in exile when he opened a factory and he was able to hire other people.
At that early age, what sent you to exile?
Yeah, I was going to go there. Like I said, I'm part of the generation the June 16 generation. And it's like Colette also belongs to that. We, the youth of 76 and before that, if you know, some of them started, and one of them was also letter bombed, and many of them died in the frontline states as the the apartheid system followed them even when they crossed the borders into the neighboring countries. I mean, I was a group of the young men and women, the little boys and girls of the June 16, who rose against the system and refused to be taught an inferior education. What they used to call a Bantu education
Bantu.
system, an education that was designed to make us to be workers, basically, and not to grow beyond being a worker for the white minority group. So we rejected that system that was inferior, that was degrading, as Colette indicated. We rejected that system and became part of the group of the class of 76 and marched against the system, a powerful system that used its artillery on innocent young boys and girls. As you know, many of the youth died when the apartheid system opened fire on them. So I was part of that generation. I had to leave my home for exile because the police were looking for me. And if you know, during that time, many of the youth died as they forced them through. There was a police headquarters in Johannesburg. They used to call it John Foster Square. Many of the young activists died there. They lost their lives. They forced them out of the windows. Many died. And I was one of those who was looked who the police were after, because I had also burnt material with me. I was just an activist. I was just a young person who happened to fall and be exposed to political material. I was aware of many other things, but also, as I said, I had burnt material. So it became dangerous. And then I had to leave the country, first to protect myself, but also to go and be equipped so that I can go back to my country and liberate my people. That's how we used to think, that it's simple. You go outside, you get the tools, and you go back and you liberate your country, not knowing that fight the apartheid system is not that easy. I went through Lesotho. I ended up at the end of the many countries that I went through. I spent most of the time in Tanzania. We had a school called Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College, where they prepared us. I went through Lesotho. I ended up in West Germany at that time. And then I had to go to Tanzania via Zambia and many other countries that I've been to. So, like Colette, I was forced into exile. I didn't choose. It was not like I just wanted to go. I was forced into exile. And as a young woman, there were many risks associated with that kind of a decision. Leaving your sheltered home with parental care and guidance and going to an unknown world. Right from the beginning, it was full of risk and dangers. One, I could have been captured because I was going outside the country illegally. There are many young women who fell prey to those that were assisting them. I could have been raped. Anything could have happened to me as I crossed the borders into exile. I was 16 years, couple of months. That tells you that age and the risk associated with that period, and having to make decisions about your own life. But then remembering the teachings of your family, because that's what helped me when the going got tough. I would remember my grandmother saying, education is the key to life. Whatever that you do, ensure that you are educated. Like Colette, my parents emphasized that, my father emphasized that whatever happens, remember to get education. That's the only gift I can give you, that you are able to live in this cruel world. So yes, I went out, but I also knew that education was important. But also, once I was in exile, I joined the African National Congress. Colette, I am a member of the African National Congress, and I've been in this organization for more than 40 years. I'm now a veteran. I'm part of the ANC Veterans League. I met the requirement because you have to be in the ANC 40 years of unbroken service. I joined the ANC, and I must commend my organization for having taken care of me from being that young woman, and provided me with the many opportunities that I wouldn't have been exposed to had I been in South Africa. So I joined the ANC. I became a member of the ANC, and my life then was kind of guided by being a member of the African National Congress in exile. As I said, I was in Tanzania. I was all over the place. People think you just decided what you wanted to do. No, you were guided, just like any other family, by the values, the laws of your leaders. of your organization. And some of us were channeled to go to school and not be in the camp. Some of us were told you are going to school. As I said, maybe also because of the age, I'm not sure, but some of us were directed to say you're going to go to school. And remember, the leadership was also preparing for us for when we go back to South Africa after South Africa has been liberated. Guidance was provided. And as I said, even when I was in exile, I had women leaders that took care of some of us, were like our parents, we looked up to them for guidance and many other things. But at the end of the day, you also had to make your choices in terms of what has to become of you at the end of the day. It was not a simple thing. It was very difficult. I remember, being in an environment where your source of clothing and your source of food is the contribution of others. People had to send us clothing, people had to send us food. But in the process, you also learn how to live within a collective, how to share, how to discipline yourself, and how to inspire yourself, because you could easily also, due to frustration, end up in a situation that would have destroyed you or destroyed others. There were those that guided us, that supported us, but also the background where you come from, I think also played a role. Like I said, in whatever that I was doing, I would ask myself, would my grandmother approve of this? Would my dad approve of this? And that would guide you in terms of where you want to go, what is right, what is wrong. I'm grateful because then I got the kind of a tool that assisted me to come back into the country and to contribute in the manner that I did. I would say in that regard, I was fortunate because many died crossing the borders. Many died captured by the Boers. I was one of those that was fortunate, and I give credit to the countries that I've been to. There are many. I can't list them all. To the many individuals and the collective that shaped me to be who I am. Men, the women, the other comrades or young men and women that I was with, that provided me with a platform to grow, to experience solidarity in a true sense of the word, not just from those countries, also solidarity amongst ourselves and taking collective responsibility for many things. I can go on, but I'm saying the conditions forced me to go into exile at a very early age. The collective solidarity also assisted me. And that's why today I'm passionate about solidarity for those that find themselves in a similar situation like ourselves, South Africans, the Palestinians, those that are fighting injustice in their countries, those that are fighting for self-determination like yourselves. And being an ANC member, we were taught that you have to accommodate everyone. Hence, I'm engaging with you. The Southern Cameroonians
Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia.
who are saying we feel aggrieved. We feel like the world is not listening to us. I was taught that you must have an ear to listen to all forms of groups and decide on how best to assist the people or their situation. I will listen to you and also try and find a way in which, in any form, I can be of assistance to alleviate your pain or to mediate or to ensure that somebody with the power to decide they can do so. We do it with our brothers and sisters from Palestine, our brothers and sisters from Western Sahara, or any other group that comes to us and say, we are aggrieved, we have an issue. It is through others that listen to us that we're able to find the kind of solutions that we found for South Africa. And yes, my sister is right that, remember, we were fighting a system, and some aspects of that system are stubbornly still staying with us. To address a system that existed for more than 400 years and to think that within 30 years you would have achieved the true liberation of your country. I mean, it would be unfair. And yes, I agree with with her to say there are a lot of things that we shouldn't have done as this new democracy. Issues of corruption, issues of class materialism. We should have been mindful of the traps of political gain, because economically, majority of our people are still struggling. If you want to address the economic transformation of our country, you have to go to the heart of who owns, the means of production, still holding the economy of this country. Who owns the land? The land question has not as yet been addressed. Let me tell you a challenge, because I've also served in government. I told you, I've served at the provincial level. I've served in various departments, including the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Environment. I've served at the provincial level also, both in education, and of course I've specialized in education. I told you I've got masters from university, the London Institute of Education in UK, but also from Sophia University. So as you can see, I've been taught, I've been given an opportunity to study also abroad, Germany. The previous administration has entrenched itself. You've just taken over. You have won political freedom. You can choose your leaders. However, the economy is still in the hands of white male few. And I agree that there are a lot of things that we need to reintrospect with and improve, and remember why we went into the struggle and why the blood was shed. We must always reintrospect and remember why we went into the struggle. However, I'm also saying the apartheid system is entrenched. The kind of systems that we inherit, I'm not sure, the tendering systems, the procurement system, some of the structures were not fundamentally changed. The law itself, and I'm glad I'm with the legal experts, the law itself, whilst the Constitution, the Bill of Rights says you have a right to housing, you have a right to education, you have a right to transport, the reality is something else. So it's another topic that we could go into. I am the sum total of what solidarity means. I was educated, I was fed by the people of the nation and inspired by what I was taught by everyone. And I would like to give back to all these people, to all these countries that gave us shelter, that assisted us to be where we are. And it pains me at times when people are xenophobic, because I think my country welcomed everyone, including those that came to supported us during the struggle but didn't. We've opened our borders, which was a good thing. I want to believe that the South Africans who are truly a loving, welcoming people, very forgiving. That has been my journey. Like Colette, I grew up in an environment that said you cannot grow beyond this. And that's why most of our people, and we're not able to travel, because they say traveling also enriches your mind. The exposure that I received as I was traveling the world has made me to see various aspects of what I thought was the reality. As Colette said, I thought all whites were the same, but then I got to learn that even within South Africa, you have white Afrikaners, whites, and others who fought for our struggle. I want to refer you, Colette, to Mandela. Mandela said, when he taught us in the ANC, he said, he will fight white domination in all its forms, isn't it? But he also said, I will also fight my own people if they do the same things that the apartheid system did. Meaning that maybe our failure, because you talk about community involvement, the people should guard jealously this struggle, rot, or where they see injustices, where they see the breaking of the promise. They should hold the leaders accountable. And I think they're beginning to do that. The class of June 16, the youth of the 70s and the youth before that have accomplished their chapter. Our youth must rise and defend this democracy and challenge all of us for not living up to the promises that you have made. I'm sorry, I just wanted to raise that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would equally agree with you that, all over Africa, when the colonial master is living, they give you democracy, but they hold the means of production, they hold the means of power, and they think that you can make it. And we go around celebrating democracy on paper. But he who holds the government, is the person who controls the economy, is the person who controls the monetary system, is the person who controls the military, and is the person who controls the sources of labor. But all over Africa, they set that up so that we can fail. But I think that there's a new generation of Africans coming up now because we have studied with them. And I would equally call on my fellow Africans that the Europeans use the media to magnify their strength and to magnify their importance. We should also use our own media to reflect back into our traditional beliefs that held us up till now, the beliefs of Ubuntu, the beliefs of hard work, that our parents who never went to school, they were able to sacrifice all to make us travel around the world. But unfortunately, we are coming back now in a white man's habit. Even though we look black, we are even worse than the white man. I grew up in the village, and even though I am out of the village, it is the village that is taking me around the world, and that discipline that was given to me in the village. I already told all of you that I was an orphan. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise an orphan. And with that spirit, I always give tribute that I am who I am today because of the village. So, Miss Colette, you are listening, and I believe your activism even took you to Cameroon. You were not allowed in. So I would really thank all of you that your activism in South Africa, where you were born, ignited that courage and you became torchbearer, carrying that same spirit and that same light, spreading it across Africa. So, Colette, if you could share a little bit of your journey and how you were treated in Cameroon, for my Cameroonian audience to really listen that and know that even though you are in South Africa, your activism stretches beyond South Africa. Over to you.
Amanda, 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 hey babe, hey babe, hey babe, who is Fumela, 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 who ha, 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 Amanda, 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 who ha, who ha, who ha, who ha, who ha.